going to finish up with the number 2 and number 1 panels on the front face. Just march along. Use sanding disc, 120 grit, and I'm going to sand all the edges. I stayed away from them with the power sander because it would chew right through them real fast. Doing it by hand, I could control it, and it's going to look out pretty good. So let's see. Okay, now that I've got the number 4 panel on the side sanded, I'm going to sand that seam between 3 and 4. I'm going to do the same to the hatch joints. Once again, I avoided sanding these corners and the galley too much with the power sander. I didn't want to chew that out. Okay, I've done a little bit more sanding, just some of the pieces I varnished, or I should say epoxied earlier. And I'm going to install the upper hinge pads next. So I got to clear the holes that you can still see where they're going to be. So I'm just going to drill those through. So next time I mix a batch of epoxy, I'm going to coat these little pads. I need to put these pads for the upper mounting point at least. You don't have to do the lower one or the big one if you don't want to. Just going to sit flat now. If I took this here, it's going to be teeter-tottery, so they give you this pad here. I think even in the new trailers, you have to use this pad. New trailer kits. So anyway, I have to bond a layer of fiberglass on here and then bond it to the trailer. So, but I want to clear the holes first because when I bond this to the trailer, I'm going to screw it in with 3 screws like I did for the door hinge pads. So I'm just going to clear them out with 16th inch bit. On the top of the trailer, it got the little wire holes got plugged with the epoxy, so there's stitch holes on the sides of the transom, the sides and the top. So I'm going to clear those holes with the drill bit right now, so when it comes time to stitch it to the back, I'll have that ready to go. I sanded the interior of this panel here. I sanded the floor hatches. I'll get another coat of epoxy next time I've got some mixed up. But it's going to be a lot smoother on the second coat because I've sanded the first coat. I've had a couple coats now or I should say a coat of epoxy on each side, one on each side, so a couple I guess. And it needs to be smooth, so I'm going to give it a sanding. I think I won't recoat it though until it's in the trailer. So, but I'm going to give it a sanding now because I won't be able to get in here with the power sander and get all of this. And I also want to really sand the edge here because that's going to get filleted in. So you need to have bare wood or at least really well sanded epoxy for it to stick. Yep, and I'll do that. I've prepped some things for epoxy. I've got these 2 strips are going to go in the corner of the quarter panels that I didn't put tape on. I pre-sanded it. There's the galley gutter. It's going to get coated in fiberglass. I used scraps from the cut-offs of putting the side fiberglass and front fiberglass on, top fiberglass. And then I decided I'm going to use the hinge pads after all. I think it'll help waterproof the screws because the water will divert around them for the most part, other than the rain that actually falls on the hinges. And it'll reinforce them quite a bit. So I'm going to follow through with the instructions on the retrofit kit and install those. And the trailer, of course, is all sanded. You see it. So basically, I'm putting the similar thing to there. They're going to go up here, and they're going to cover these holes. One other thing that I noticed is if I'm inside the trailer, I can see light through these epoxy patches. So putting those hinge pads on will eliminate that light leaking through, and it'll just be that much more complete. These ones here, you can see they're kind of translucent. It's because there's no filler in them, but once I cut the hatch loose, I'll flip it over and fill them in with putty, peanut butter putty. So there we go. I've got all the pieces covered. Just starting to get a little tacky. And then I soaked those 2 strips, 20-inch strips, and I applied them inside the trailer, the quarter panels. I don't know if the instructions said to do it or not, but I did it. I ran a strip in each corner, and then you can see I had a little bit extra, so I coated the reinforcements in epoxy, kind of filled in the little gaps. There's little gaps here and there. There's no stress of the board going, the reinforcement board going to the door shell, so I don't think it will spring the door in any way. It was tied on with copper wires and 1 screw at the top corner that was going through one of the hinge holes, and so there shouldn't be any spring in the door when we cut it open. It should be kind of in its natural state. And a little bit left, I coated the spacer. Some of it was dry of epoxy, and I put a little thin coat over where I sanded it. I still have to fill that in with wood fillet. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave it plain or paint in there or what, because it's not really going to be visible because the little bezel, trim bezel is going to go up there. But I'll have to play it by ear. If it's ugly when it's all done, I'll just mask it off and paint it brown. It'll be fine. You see the reinforcements. I've done an initial sanding on that, and the sanding on the door. I didn't bother to put fiberglass in the middle of the cutout piece. I might try to do something custom with the windows and save that. I'm going to cut that piece out neatly, and maybe it'll be something special. I haven't decided. I really like the Wiley windows in my other trailer, and I'm thinking of putting 2 ones in the front here so we can get better venting. I don't really like the plastic vents that come in from CLC. You can get them on Amazon too. The CLC has a good price on them if you like those. I saw some stainless steel ones, maybe those would work. I don't know. If I put a light about 18, or a window up about 18 inches, or a vent, I should say, it's gonna have to be curved. So that's gonna make things a little tricky. But we'll see what I can come up with. I might, even put a little eyebrow on a window and make it flat. We'll see. Might just go with the black plastic ones they sell. So I have to discuss it with Teresa, see what she likes style-wise. So that's it. Pads down, and what I want to do is have these truly parallel to each other. So I take a long straight edge, go across them. The hump in the middle is too high to really accurately check. So I'm going to take the little alignment pieces that they give you in the hinge retrofit kit. I'm just going to use like 1 drop of CA glue on this one. And a drop or 2 of CA glue on this one. And with that added little spacer on there, I can check for them both being parallel, and they are. And I've pre-drilled the holes through them to like 1/8 inch, so the number 6 screw will go through there. Maybe the number 8s, I don't remember. Anyway, the screw's going to go through easily. It did on the doors. And then I'm going to mix up some epoxy for the bottom. And I'm going to screw it into the existing holes that are in the roof of the trailer. And I'm going to verify that it's sitting flush. And let's set up. You can see on the back side that I've shaved it at an angle. Let me get around the lights better. I've shaved these opposite, one going one way, one going the other. And that's going to make up for the angle of the roof. And then the hinges will lay flat and both open on the same plane, and there won't be any binding or warping of the lid. The guy at CLC said it wouldn't matter. Plastic hinges, they can flex, but I think, straight's better, so I'm going to do them straight. Anyway, that's it for now. Okay, I've got the pads glued down, screwed down. We'll take a set. Later, we'll cut the hinge line. The holes will be set for the new hinges, the new style hinges. You can see the dots that have to be cut through. Those little dark brown wood blocks are coming off. The piece here, that's just tacked on with 2 little dots of crazy glue. I can take my straight edge now, go across those pads. You can't really tell because those blocks are in the way, but they're nice and level. This is a little easier to see that one. Yeah, see, it's nice and level. So those hinges will open in the same plane. That's all that goal was for that. Then the epoxy mix I used was typical epoxy, and then I mixed in half cellophil and half wood flour, so it made it a little lighter. And then with the surplus, I went inside the trailer, on the inside of the hatch where it was a little rough. I had rough sanded it, and there were some dips, so I filled those in with what the surplus was. I only used 4 pumps of epoxy and 4 pumps of hardener. So those are going to set up. I'm just going to go over the edges right now with some denatured alcohol and smooth it up. And a little bit of, I got one little chinga there, came out of off the little spreader. Anyway, that's it. So after I put the pads on, hinge pads on there, this morning I put a coat of epoxy over the whole trailer because it was well sanded down to with 120 grit, and this is basically what it's going to look like when it's finished. As far as the wood grain and everything, we're going to put another coat of epoxy on there, and while this is it, while it's dry to the touch, it's still not set, so another coat will go over it, and after that, then it's going to be wet sanding time. So actually, we'll probably end up cutting the doors and the hatch out. So because we'll have to flip it over after we cut the hatch out. So it's looking pretty good. And I got the second coat of epoxy since sanding the whole trailer. Second coat on, actually probably the third coat on the top of the doors. For the floor, I got 1 coat on each side of the hatch bezel, trim bezel. I got 2 new coats on the bottom of the shelf. I'll do the top side probably after it's installed. The trailer itself is looking pretty in its new epoxy coats. It's looking pretty good. It's pretty much what it's going to look like when it's done if we keep it varnished or clear coated. But can't leave the epoxy out in the sun. It'll get deteriorated very rapidly. So there we are. I did put a little bit of fiberglass. I had to shave off the bottom of that upper pad so that the hinge wouldn't bind on it. I did that on both sides, and then the area that was opened up, I embedded fiberglass in, and after this is cured tomorrow, I will sand that smooth and another little coat over that, and that should take care of that. So after this is sanding the whole trailer with the block sanding the whole trailer to get it level. And maybe there's another coat of epoxy in this future. I don't know. Depends how the block sanding comes out. So there we go. That's it for now. Okay, so we've got the trailer sanded with 120 grit, rough sanding. It's not perfect. We'll go over the rest of it with 220. So we're going to be at the stage right now. We're going to cut out the doors and the hatch. It's kind of a critical step. Teresa is connecting the dots between the lines with a ruler and eyeballing the curve. It's just coming out pretty good. We're using a pencil, so it can be sanded off very easily. Worried that a marker would bleed over if we hit it with alcohol or something. Might leave a weird stain.